Welcome everybody to the provider orientation for Office Fall 2020-2021. Yes, woo! We're so excited to begin offering programs again this fall. We know it's been a long summer. It's kind of felt eternal, right? Like just time is like this weird thing now. But we're excited to be back. We're excited to have teachers registering for your programs and are excited to have their students learn from you. We ask that you be patient with us as we have not done orientation for providers online before, but we did our teacher orientation last week in this platform and it worked really well. So we're excited to do that the same for you this week. I'm gonna pass it off now to Lissa, who's Executive Director for the DC Collaborative.
Hi, oops, is my mic on? Yes, okay. Hi, everybody. Well, thank you all. Tracy is now setting up the PowerPoint. Welcome to what is, I believe, our 23rd school year, working together as a community in partnership with all of our members to ensure equitable access to learning opportunities here in the District of Columbia for DC Public and public charter schools. This essential learning through arts and humanities, we know how vital and important it is. We know how different this school year is. We know how different our organizations are during these times. So this work that we do together is so vital. Now more than ever, truly demonstrates the importance of arts and humanities learning and the importance of arts and culture in our society. And this really ties into the vision of the collaborative and how we work together. You can see here on the picture, this was the kickoff of our Any Given Child collective impact work a couple years ago. And collaboration is in our name. Collective impact, that jargony term, is really what the collaborative is all about, and our shared mission to provide equity and access. And today we'll go over some new ways that we are delivering this through our Arts and Humanities for Every Student program, version 2.0. And working with some of you this summer, as Trey shared, on beta testing these digital platforms. I can tell you it's still a really valid learning experience for students. And the first go, I was initially skeptical and thought, oh, this could never be the same. It's something very different, but it's still very engaging. And student responses were also very engaging, as you'll learn as we start to do this work together moving forward, as well as our continued work on supporting each other. So I'd like to hand the mic back off to the team, but I just wanted to officially say hello and welcome back. And we're really glad to see all of you and that you're still here and able to work with us this fall.
Thanks, Lissa. And yeah, leading off of what Lissa said, and I think I mentioned this to someone I was in a meeting with yesterday, that students are still engaged and engaged in different ways. They're, in some cases with virtual experiences, they can engage and ask questions without, being the center of attention, which is really encouraging. So we're really excited for the fall. And so most of you know what Arts and Humanities for Every Student is because you've participated before, you're here, and Trey has oriented you to fill out all of this information. But any public or public charter school is eligible to participate in the program. In a non-COVID year, we typically have 180 school partners and serve almost 50,000 students. We had a really successful teacher orientation last week. There are about 160 teachers that registered, so that demonstrates that there is interest still in the virtual programming, so we're really excited about that. And there are 3 parts to the Arts and Humanities for Every Student program. The DC Collaborative acts as that bridge, as you know, and we try to help with all of the logistics. You'll most likely be speaking with the key communicator or the teacher attending your trip to, distribute virtual links or supplementary materials. as well as the DC Collaborative staff. And lastly, without you guys, we couldn't do this program. Your programming is so innovative, especially this year, this fall. You're like the virtual guinea pigs, even though Trey already did beta testing. So thank you for being brave enough to go first. So let me hand off the mic.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. Yeah, I started actually thinking about Office this year, kind of in terms of like the phases of the COVID trial, how we've had phase 1 and then phase 2, and then there's phase 3, and then there's that final phase 4. We're at like phase 2.5, right? And so we've done it once with a smaller group of people. We did it with a summer camp, and now we're rolling it out. This is like phase 2.5, phase 3 with public and public charter school students. And so we're really excited about that to see what we're gonna have offered. So a couple of upcoming to-dos, things that you should already know, but I'll just review them ahead. So you need to send your organization's MOU directly to me by this Friday. And so you should have all received the MOU document in your email either last week or the week before. Again, all the days are meshing together. But if you have any questions about that document or any of the language, feel free to reach out to me and I can answer that for you. I've already talked to a couple of you about questions of that. But please send it either as a PDF or some other document electronically to my email by the end of this week. So the lottery cycles, and so we are entering the first cycle that we have for the year, which is the fall lottery, and the submission date, or the day that our teachers are supposed to submit all of their requests, is by Friday. And so they have the whole week to look at your programs, to select which ones they want to register their students and their classes for, and that started on September 7th. That same lottery period will open up on December 7th and for the winter lottery, and then on March 1st for the spring lottery. And a month before that is when all of your information would need to be due to us. And so like this past summer, all of you submitted your programming to us by August 7th. Thank you so much. So that everything could be up and running by September 7th. And the same thing would go for the winter and the spring. One thing as well is that this year, even though there are virtual programs happening, DCPS is requiring background checks for certain programs. And if you are a program that needs a background check, I've already notified you of that, and you need to provide us with proof that you've been cleared by the DCPS clearance office prior to any trips that you'll be doing with students. If you're still unsure whether or not your program needs to have clearance, reread the information that is outlined in the MOU, as well as in the email that I sent you with your MOU. In the link to your catalog page, I put some language in there about clearances, or just reach out to me directly and we can go over that. So for field trips during the school year, you will receive something called a reservation sheet. For those of you who are new and for those of you returning, this looks very familiar to you. It's basically a Google document sheet that goes through and it shows you all of the information for the schools that have registered for your program. The teacher's information, their email, their cell phone number, the number of students that they've reserved to attend your program. If there's any accessibility needs, they'll be located in the reservation sheet as well. This is something that is the responsibility of our providers to continuously look at and for updates. And so this links back to a larger document that we have at the Collaborative that we update, and it updates your document in real time. And so please continue to look at your reservation sheet. That'll be sent out to you in the coming weeks as we have schools who are registered for your programming, but it's there that you'll be able to find the information if you need to communicate any dates about pre-workshops or anything like that with teachers. All of their contact information will be there. All of the prep materials, so any supplementary materials, links to those will be in the reservation sheet as well, and teachers are also linked to that. All right, so now I'm going to pass it over to Bobine to walk us through assessment and why that is so vital to the work that we do at the Collaborative.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bobine Chong, and I'm the assessment coordinator at the Collaborative. For those who are new to the Collaborative, we conduct assessment after field trips takes place, and it is an integral part of student experience that gives them an opportunity for reflection. We are continuously working to improve the overall process, questionnaires, and to receive, enough, if not higher rate of responses from both the teachers and students. The changes that we're making this year begins with changes in our language. It will be now called reflections rather than surveys, the term we used previously. We also incorporated questions that will reflect our efforts and your efforts and how you and the Collaborative will come together to create an environment that all students feel comfortable, safe, welcome, despite everything being virtual. And they're created via Google Forms, and I email teachers the day of the virtual field trip. The teachers will receive 2 different emails from me, a teacher reflection and a student reflection for the appropriate grade band. Different from previous years, I will send the Google Forms straight to their inbox to reduce the extra steps of teachers opening my email, reading the instructions, and clicking the links to access the forms. Also starting the school year, I would like to ask all of you providers to proactively share the links of teacher and student reflections with them during the virtual experience. End of probably next week, I will send everyone a spreadsheet with assessment links of your organizations. Ideally, you can share them near the end of the virtual experience using the chat box of the platform that you're using, whether Teams or Zoom, and even embed around 5 minutes of your program for the completion. And this way, we'll be able to capture kind of the most accurate and helpful data. This is not required though, and if you can't for any reasons, that is fine, because I'll be emailing the assessment forms to teachers who then will complete on their own and deliver it to the students. I also send out reminder emails a week after, 2 weeks later, and more. However, from my previous experience, organizations that proactively emphasize and highlight to the teachers the importance of completing the assessment have much better response rate and thus data. Members will be able to access the data in real time at no cost to inform their future program design. If you receive responses, you will be able to view them in your organization's folder that will be shared with you probably in the next week as well. And the DC Collaborative offers analytics services at a cost of $200 per survey report and per program. Next slide, please, Tracy. And here is an example of one. It will consist of 2 to 3-page report that will demonstrate the key findings from the data and the responses that we received. And it will also be included near the end, all kind of the rest of the data that will be polished in this kind of an appendix format. So if you have any questions or concerns about assessment, please reach out to me at bobine@dccollaborative.org. Thank you.
Thank you, Bobine. Yeah, that assessment piece is really important for us, and we really ask that you all be partners with us in that and reiterating it to the teachers and the educators at the very end of your programs, if possible, to remember to complete those reflections so that we can get the best information and data for you that we can use moving forward from our schools. The next piece that we want to talk about tonight is accessibility. And this is something that we also outline in the MOU. But we are asking that all of our members who are offering programs this fall and are not using the Collaborative's database or platform to have captions enabled for all of their programming. And so if you're using Zoom or if you're using Google or any other platform, to find a way to enable captions, live captioning for your program so that students who may have different issues with hearing can then read along. We do ask teachers as well to provide us with any specific accessibility needs that their students may have 30 days prior to the program. And we will again relay those to you, and they'll be outlined in the reservation sheets. If there's any reason why your organization would be unable to accommodate for any of the accessibility needs, you need to let us know so that we can then relay that information back to the teacher. If there is a chance where a student is unable to fully participate in the program due to accessibility needs, our policy is that we would cancel that program for that class. And so that's why we would need to know that information as far in advance as possible. And you would get that information from us as far in advance as possible as well. So the next slide, and I kind of alluded to this in the previous slide, is that we are working with Microsoft Teams this year as the DC Collaboratives platform to kind of host our office programming. About half of you are using our platform and about half of you are using your own platform, but in some way or another, all of you will be equipped with using the Teams page for getting different updates from the collaborative and for being able to see your assessment and other things like that. And so office providers will be receiving an invitation to join a channel on the Collaboratives team page. So a channel is a place where you can have direct communication with us. We're also planning on adding any teachers that are going on your programs to that channel. So if there are supplementary materials, you can add them there as well. If you are using the Teams platform for your actual programming, you will receive a calendar invite from the DC Collaboratives Teams account to join that event. And so if it's an interactive program, similarly to Google Meets like this or like Zoom, then you'll receive a calendar invitation with an email to join in and virtually talk to teachers and students in a platform like this. If you're having a live streamed event, you'll be added as a presenter to the program. And that you'll need to send us all of the people who will be participating in that program. So any teaching artists, any members of your staff who will be pulling up media, videos, or anything else, we will need to have all their contact information as well so that we can add them as a presenter on the production side of the live stream. For both interactive and live stream programs, providers will be able to share your audio and your visual. So you have the ability to share your screen. The only difference is for the interactive ones, you see the students and teachers' faces, and for the live stream, you do not. But there is always the chat option available, and for the live stream, the Q&A option as well. So now I'm going to pass it off to Yasmin to talk about school cancellations and our ticket policies.
Hi, everyone. So in terms of school cancellations and ticket reservation policies, we do ask that our schools cancel their experiences or change any ticket reservations at least 30 days prior to their virtual experience. And schools will be penalized for making any changes or cancellations that don't fall within our policy. Next slide, please. And if schools do cancel outside of that time frame, we do encourage you to try to reschedule the trip. But if there are any costs accrued by a member from a school cancellation, whether that is a last-minute school cancellation or one that is done in advance, the collaborative will not be able to reimburse any of those costs. If you have any program ticket costs or workshop fees that are stipulated already in advance for your program, those will have to be charged to the school directly. Next slide, please. If you need to cancel a program, we also ask that you abide by that same policy and let us know at least 30 days in advance so that we can also communicate with our schools.
Thank you, Yasmin.
Thank you.
The next thing that we want to talk about is your organization's folder. And so every organization will have their own folder on the DC Collaboratives cloud. And inside of that folder will be a reservation sheet, which is what I talked about earlier, and it tells you which students and which classrooms are signed up to participate in your program during the fall lottery. A copy of your MOU will be provided there as well. Insurance certificates. So that is something that is also detailed in the MOU, is that we do require that our providers give us an insurance certificate with the DC Collaborative listed under it. If you have more questions about that, you can reach out to myself, Tracy, or Alyssa, and we can review that with you. Your office application, so we do have links to all of the questions that you submitted to us back in August. The raw data for the teacher and student reflections. And so you will be able to see what the students and teachers are saying about your program, but it won't be presented in the final form, and they won't be synthesized. That is what the $200 fee is for us to go through all of the data and present it to you in a document. But you do have access to your raw data at any time to see what any teachers or students are saying in general, and you can decipher that with your staff on your own. And then program committee feedback. That is something that we have as well if you're interested in feedback. For most of you, we've already sent that out to you in an email ahead of conversation. But if you're interested in receiving more feedback from the programming committee or want to receive the feedback that you've received already from the programming committee, please reach out to me. The next thing we're going to go over is the office fees. So this is new this year. Because there's no transportation involved, we have had to restructure the way that we do our administrative fee. And so you've all received information on this already, but to review, for every reservation that we receive, if you're using the DC Collaboratives platform, so that Teams platform, if you'll be going through us to set up the room, the live stream, or any of that, it'll be a $1 fee per reservation. So for example, if there's a classroom of 50 and there are 50 reservations that have been made for your program, that's a $50 administration fee for that. If you're using your own platform, so let's say you're using Zooms or Google Meets or Skype or anything like that, it's a 75-cent administration fee per reservation. And again, so that's not necessarily the number of students that are there, it's the number of students that the teacher has reserved to participate in the program. The assessment fee, again, is $200 if you want to receive the report. And that is a question that you all have answered, whether or not you wanted to receive that report in your submission form. If you're unsure what you marked for that question, feel free to reach out to me, or if you are interested after this workshop or after this orientation in receiving an assessment report, let me know as well, and I'll change that information on our end.
Just jumping in here with Trey to let you know that, and I'm sure you've all gotten these emails before, but we have been making our transition to MemberClicks over the past few months. And part of that transition is transitioning all of our payment processes to MemberClicks. And as of August 2020, we are only accepting payment via MemberClicks. So you will be receiving all your invoices through MemberClicks, and you will be paying those invoices through MemberClicks. And so you've been getting these emails kind of explaining the ins and outs of the database. And we are also releasing a webinar this month and inviting you to a Q&A. So if you have any questions about that, we know it's kind of a new platform and it can be confusing. So just stay tuned for our webinar and our Q&A as well.
Yeah, so hi everyone. Speaking of the MemberClicks webinar and Q&A that Yasmin was just referring to, I wanted to remind you guys that the webinar will be coming out next week, and then the Q&A session will happen on Monday, September 28th. We are hoping that all of our members will increasingly be active on MemberClicks besides just the use of invoicing and payments, which Yasmin is responsible for, but also with a lot of like our access to the community calendar, all communication, especially regarding, sorry, my mind is going blank right now, but basically all community related access of the calendar and communication will be available to all of our members. So join us on the 28th. Tracy, could you go on to the next slide? Right, and also I want to thank all of our members who have participated so far on the Collective Impact Mapping Project. We have almost 80 members, that individuals and organizations that participated. And we are really excited because a lot of our dashboards through the Tableau program have already been created, and here, as you can see, is one of the examples. So this information, this data is extremely important, especially during the pandemic. It's one of the ways that we can tell our stories as a collective organization, but also individual stories about your organization or the work that you do as a teaching artist. And we will send out more emails later regarding the project. And teacher PDs. Here is another reminder to let Trey know if you have any professional development sessions this school year. And we hope that our teachers from the DCPS and public charter schools will have the same kind of opportunities as before, even though everything is virtual, to experience professional development. Trey, do we have anything else to add about professional development for teachers?
Yeah, just to, again, hopping off of what Wendy said, to email that information to me. And then once you email me, I'll actually open up the same submission form that you inserted your fall office programming for schools. It's the same submission form for professional development. So once you send that to me, we're in the process of uploading all of those to our website now. So far, we've received about 5 or 6 professional development opportunities for virtual learning. And so if there is anything your members are offering, please send it over to us and we'll get that out to our teachers as well.
Great, thanks.
So the next thing that we want to review today is something that I think almost everyone here is familiar with, but it's our distance learning resource database, which we, the collaborative, launched back in March, basically right after it was clear that learning was going to be happening virtually for the foreseeable future. And we just want to thank all of you for the outpouring of resources that we've received from you all. We've received over 150, almost 200 now, individual unique resources for our distance learning resource database. And so what I want to do right now is actually, for those of you who, sorry, Tracy, you might have to, there we go. For those of you who may not have been on our distance learning resource database, just show you briefly what that looks like and what we've been able to create together. So it's broken up into multiple sections: visual arts, performing arts, and humanities. And in each one of those categories, there are various age groups from early childhood to high school. And so, for example, if you were to go to humanities and go to high school, you'd be able to see all the different organizations that have submitted resources to us for distance learning. And so like President Lincoln's Cottage, you can see this is something that they've offered online. You can click here and it'll redirect you to their website or whatever the resource is. It gives you a short blurb, the content areas, as well as the learning standards for that program. Something else we have on here is a page for additional resources. The DC Collaboratives resource database is mostly for all of our members, which are DC specific, but there are some national resources for arts and humanities that we found valuable as well, and those are listed here. We also have a tab for professional development, and so this is mostly articles and lesson plans and things for parents and teachers to best help them become adapt to virtual learning. So like this one is a resource to support families with young children who are working from home, teaching effectively during times of disruption, and other articles and web pages as well. If you're interested in submitting additional resources on the distance learning resource database, there's a page here where you can select content submission, and it takes you to the submission form for that. And we're continuously updating the resource database on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And so hopefully, if you have resources that your organization has been developing over the summer and into the fall, or events that may not be offered for office, but you want to offer to other individuals, this is a place where those things can live. especially asynchronous videos, asynchronous lesson plans. This is a perfect home for that. And we have begun to start to track the analytics for this again, and it is starting to tick up again from the summer. And so teachers are using it again, parents are using it again. We're excited to see where it goes from here. So I think that might have been the last thing on our agenda for the orientation. And so now what we want to do is just open it up for questions. If anyone has any questions on anything that we were reviewing tonight, feel free to put those in the chat. So if you need to edit something that is in the database, the best way to do that would actually be to reach out to Bobine. She's the one who will be updating the database. And so we'll send out more information about that soon. But Bobine, if you want to put your email in the, thank you. She's the one you can reach out to if there's something you want to take down or something you'd like to edit.
I hope everyone's excited. Okay. We're really excited that despite, everyone's still working virtually, that we can have a focus on the arts and humanities and have these experiences for students. So thank you so much.
And we know that there are going to be, a few bumps in the road, and that everyone is flexible. And so we really appreciate everyone in advance for your flexibility, for your grace, all out together. But all in all, we're very sure that it's going to be a successful fall and a successful school year, despite everything.
Yeah.
So the data that I have on the distance learning resource database is I can show, I can see how many people have clicked on the distance learning resource database itself. I can see what states they're coming from. The majority of the people who use the database are from the United States, but we actually have had a considerable amount of international usage as well, which is pretty exciting. But in terms of, this is one thing to note, in terms of figuring out how many people are using your specific resource on the database, there isn't a way to do that from our end. If you're interested though in setting up an analytics page specifically for your resources, you can reach out to me and I can walk you through the steps on how to do that through our database. But we on our end do not have a way to say this many people have gone to visit your page and use your resource specifically.
Oh, good question.
So I can answer Caitlin's question. Oh, I guess Joan answered a similar question, asked a similar question too. I just sent out a reminder, so this could be going up, but there are about 96 different responses to the lottery right now from 44 individual schools. And more have been asking me questions and calling and stuff like that. So I do anticipate that number to go up a little bit by the end of the day tomorrow. So it is a little bit, quite a little bit lower than we've received in the past. But that actually might be better as we are testing that out. So yeah. And Trey, do you want to answer Sheridan's question about setting up an analytics page?
Yeah, I don't believe that it costs money as long as you have a Google account, a Google Sheets account. I believe it is free of charge because I know that it was for us when we tried to set that up. But if you look into it or are interested in looking into it, I can send you the links. In terms of if you all cancel a program within 30 days, I don't believe that there is a penalty for you. We would just cancel that on the school's end. But we do ask that you let us know in advance, especially during the time of distance learning, Schools are flexible, but we know that some of our teachers are going to have to make a lot of sacrifices and go through a lot of hoops to be able to do your programs. So it's very important that you let us know as far in advance as possible if someone's registered for a program, for one of your programs, you're unable to do it that day.
Yeah, and leading off of what Trey said and what he alluded to earlier, we are anticipating that there might be more cancellations than normal, or less students showing up because they're not in the school building with the teachers and they'll have to log in from home in some cases. So yeah, we just ask for flexibility. We did share a pretty stringent policy with them, but we do kind of need to be understanding at the same time. So I just want to measure everybody's expectations with that too. Are there other questions? Do we want to turn on our cameras and maybe this was Lissa's idea, do we want to turn on our cameras and maybe do like a group screenshot or something? I feel like we need to be like excited that we're offering these programs still, and that, in the midst of a global pandemic and civil unrest, we're still focused on the arts and humanities. So just want to get some smiles out of everyone. Yay, okay.
Oh, maybe jazz hands, that's a good idea. Yeah. Okay, we'll take the picture though.
Okay, I have the screenshot going. 1, 2, 3, yay, okay. All right. And then I think I'm the only one not doing jazz hands because I was taking the picture. That's all right. Okay, so are there more? I think there's some chat activity. I closed it. Oh, Caitlin, we're doing okay. It's a little busy, right, Trey? And these last couple weeks have been sprint to the finish line, build it as we're flying it. Trey's done a really great job in testing these things out. But yeah, and it'll get. Yeah, September is normally like a crazy month for us, but yeah,
it's definitely been busy, but it's been exciting, and so I think we're really excited to again begin offering, workshops and plays, and I was really just surprised at the diversity of the programs that are being offered this fall. We weren't sure what to expect, and we had so many conversations over the summer about, are members going to be prepared by the fall to offer programs again? Are members going to be able to do things and get them together for students? And so we truly appreciate that you all busted your butts over the summer to put together these programs and get them ready to us by August, so that we can get them out to our teachers and our educators. And we had a large registration for the orientation. And so we think that's a sign that we'll have a considerable amount of teachers who are still interested in these programs in the fall, and moving forward in the winter and in the spring, hopefully as well.
Sarah. Sorry, you're so funny. I'm sure your screenshot would have been fine, and I actually have a really comfy blanket and slipper socks on, but no one can see it. Trey, you're probably the best person to answer the Microsoft Teams question, but you're able to set up your own Teams account or use the collaborative's Teams account, and that's about as far as I can tell you.
Yeah. So what will happen is we will invite you to our Teams channel as a guest, and so it'll prompt you then to create an account. With your external email. You don't have to have a Microsoft email to be added to our Teams portal, because ours is set up that way that we can have external people join. And so we'll add you as an external guest to your channel. And then we just ask that you download the Teams app either on your desktop or visit it on your most stable website browser, and you can be able to interact with it there. And so the process is fairly easy. You'll receive an invitation to your email. Check your spam, and I'll also let you know when that invitation goes out so you can be on the lookout for it. Okay. I don't see any more questions in the chat. But if you do have questions, feel free to reach out to anyone on the team, myself, or anyone who's presented today. We are called the Collaborative because we work pretty collaboratively. And so if you reach out to someone you don't know who the right person is to ask for a certain question, we have that answer and can point you in the right direction. So don't feel bogged down on who to reach out to, but things in terms of programming, for the most part, you can reach out to me. But we're very excited to have you all for the fall, and we hope that this is informative and helpful, and let's go change some students' lives. Via Google.